This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for July 25th, 2024. This is season 13, episode number 54. The last time I will say season number 13, because this is the final episode of season 13. And this is also episode 439 in a long-running podcast. It is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I hope everybody's having a great summer and getting all of your summer activities in check and in order, because we're less than 90 days away from hockey starting back up again. So we're less than 3 months away. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun this upcoming season. There's going to be 14 teams in the Federal Prospects Hockey League. The Florida Everblades and ECHL are going to go for a fourth Kelly Cup. And we'll see if another Florida team can win a Stanley Cup, right? So there's a lot of cool stuff. And, of course, 14 teams in the Federal Prospects Hockey League. Couple new teams. Danville Dashers are back, or the Dashers hockey is back. Monroe Moccasins are here. We have the Hudson Valley Venom, which used to be the Elmira River Sharks. And I think what happened was the FBI investigated Elmira, found out that there was definitely, Mulder and Scully found out that there was no river shark. They could not find the river shark. And so they had to put an end to pro hockey in Elmira. And, of course, I'm joking. Is it too soon to joke yet about what happened in Elmira? And I know there's a lot of great fans in Elmira, and I feel for you guys. I really do. But it's been a hard road for you guys. It's been a hard road for pro hockey in Elmira, New York. And that's just, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And but again, today is the final episode of the season 13, the season that we dubbed Lucky Season 13. And, for me, covering the Binghamton Black Bears, I think it was a pretty good season for myself and obviously for the Black Bears. But there's a lot of excitement around the upcoming season for the Federal Prospects Hockey League. Everybody involved in the hockey league of the Federal Prospects Hockey League, I think, are going to be very interested in how everything plays out. There's some changes coming that I think you might understand, might not understand, might affect the way teams are created and put together and the rosters and so on and so forth. But hey, listen, let's get right into it. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast and subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. We're almost up to 500 members. I'd love to get to 500. Just go to Facebook and search for Power Play Post Show, and please join. Check out BinghamtonHockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. And on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, we're glad to have him back. One of my favorite guys to talk to from the Binghamton Black Bears. He is forward Austin Thompson. So very excited to have Tomer back here on the show with us. Season 14 begins August 8th, 2024. We'll have Blake Tosto from the Binghamton Black Bears and another guest to be named. So we're going to have a big show. August 8th, 2024, season 14 begins. And let's talk a little bit about season 13 and everything that we accomplished here on the Power Play Post Show. The final episode of season 13, the season that we dubbed the lucky season of the Power Play Post Show. Welcome, obviously, everybody, to the final episode of season 13. The season went 43 54 episodes long, starting with a one show a week and then expanded to Sundays and Thursdays. And when we start up the new season, we will go back to Sundays and Thursdays. So you guys will be able to hear me twice and maybe even see me once on another day. We'll talk about that here soon, shortly. 21 different Binghamton Black Bears players that graced the airwaves this season, as well as Andreas Johansson, Brant Sherwood, Dylan Konecki, and Brooks Hill. So 25 people from the Binghamton Black Bears were here on the show this year. I want to thank those guys, and I'm sure some of those guys will be back on the show again this upcoming season. Brett Wiseman from the Blue Ridge Bobcats, our friend Gary Ryan from the Fed League Flash, Jeff Barrett of the Watertown Wolves, Brendan Riley from the Carolina Thunderbirds, all came on the show. So that was awesome that we were able to reach out and talk to some of these other teams. And, of course, Gary, a good friend of our show, former Calder Cup champion Cody Bass, PA announcer Stephen Scheimer, and Bingo Hall of Fame head coach Kirk Kleinadorst. Kyle Powell, former Black Bear, and Stephen Brown of the Albany Ice Cats were all special guests on the show. Thank you to all you guys for coming on and being a part. It was a great season. Tens of thousands of listens combined amongst all the platforms. I really want to thank you guys. And the fans, you guys really made this special. The interaction that I've had with you guys this season, I hope to continue in season 14 on Facebook, whether you came up to me in person, whether it be at the games or at the celebration. I really am appreciative of all that. You guys have been phenomenal fans, and I really, even some of the people who don't like hockey, who've listened a couple times because they miss my voice, I appreciate that as well. That really kind of touches my heart because I really do enjoy being around Binghamton hockey and talking about it and having an opinion on it, maybe just talking about the news of it and stuff. So very excited about that. So thank you very much. And one of the things I do want to talk about, we do have Chloe Dutcher, who is the right now the director of Fox 40 News at 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock. She is actually producing a intro for our YouTube channel. So when I decide to do YouTube videos, Chloe has graciously put together a nice package for the intro to that. So I'm very excited for you guys to see that. That'll debut more closely to the beginning of the season. So look forward to that as well. So we're going to be on Sundays. We'll be on Thursdays like normal this upcoming season. But more than likely, we will also have a video thrown in there as well. So looking forward to that, guys. The Black Bears 24-25 roster is starting to take shape. So let's take a look at the signings so far. First of all, of course, Tyson Kirkby. The captain returns, the leading goal scorer, the leading point getter of the heart and soul of this team. He returns, right? He was the first guy to sign up, or for it to be announced. Jesse Anderson, assistant captain, he is coming back. That's great news. I know he has a great relationship with Tyson Kirkby. He has a great relationship with head coach Brant Sherwood. Dakota Bond, reigning defenseman of the year, is coming back to the Black Bears. Dan Stone, Dakota's defensive pair on the ice, he's coming back, right? So you already have 4 of the key guys coming back right there. Connor McAnanima, 7-0 in the playoffs, 19 wins in the regular season. He's coming back. And his season last year has already cemented him into the Binghamton Black Bears franchise records already. And all he needs is 2 more wins to beat out Owen Liskowitz on the wins category. So Connor McAnanima coming back, obviously huge as well. Blake Tosto, he will be our season 14 episode 1 guest on August 8th. He's coming back. He played 11 games for the Black Bears in the regular season, had 7 goals and 4 assists, had 2 assists in the playoffs as well. Josh Fletcher. Okay, So now let's talk a little bit about Josh Fletcher, because then we got to talk about Matthew Ballard, right? So Josh Fletcher, he gets picked up, first of all, in the expansion draft by the Bobcats. And I can tell you right now, he really wanted to come back to Binghamton. He wanted another season here in Binghamton. And it's unfortunate. You can only protect 12 players, and there was obviously 12 players that had to be protected, and he was not one of them. But Josh Fletcher gets picked up by the Bobcats. I can tell you that potentially there was a trade that was sort of agreed upon that was not going to include a player, but future considerations. That was nixed, and then it was talked about that Blue Ridge wanted a player's rights at this point, and so the Black Bears offered up Matthew Ballard, and that was agreed upon. And so Josh Fletcher comes back, received in a trade from Blue Ridge for Matthew Ballard. Fletcher was picked up in the expansion draft by the Bobcats. He had 13 goals and 7 assists in 53 games for the Black Bears. Okay, so he comes back. Now, when we talk about Matthew Ballard, yes, he's a fan favorite. This is a guy that has put his blood, sweat, and tears and soul into the Binghamton Black Bears. But he's also a guy who has also looked to play elsewhere. All right. He's looking to play in the ECHL. He hasn't done it yet. He's been invited to a couple camps, but he has not played in ECHL. And from what I'm told, he is potentially going to play in Knoxville in the SPHL next season. So is that a bad thing for the Bobcats to agree to this trade? I don't think it is, because I think if they get Ballard back at any point next year, they get a solid defenseman, toughest guy on the ice, one of the toughest guys, probably in the top 10 of toughest guys in the FPHL last year, okay? You can put him in there's probably 10, 15 guys that are tough, they're physical, they'll drop the gloves, they play smart, and he's one of those guys, okay? So it's not a bad thing to trade for a guy that, yes, may play in the SPHL next year, but also may come back down to the FPHL. And now Blue Ridge holds his rights and has the ability to sign him and bring him in, which wouldn't be a bad thing for them. Now, the Black Bears, they get a willing participant of Josh Fletcher. He wanted to come back to Binghamton. This is a great trade for the Black Bears fans. I know that some people may be kind of upset, but Josh Fletcher really is the guy that you want to be here for the next couple of years and play. So this was a good trade by the Black Bears. And again, tough decision. Of course it is. I haven't talked to Brant about it, but I know for Brant it was tough to trade Ballard away. He loves Matthew. He really, really, really does. But this was smart for all the parties involved, including probably even Ballard, who, you know, if he does well up in the SPHL, then it really is nothing that he has to worry about. Okay, so they've also signed so far 2 college players. Cam Cervone from SUNY Geneseo, played 3 seasons there, 37 games, 6 points. And Nick Stuckless, who is a defenseman, who I believe is really going to be a good stay-at-home defenseman. He played NCAA Division III for Skidmore College and Buffalo State University. In college, he had 13 goals and 21 assists. So we'll see how this all breaks down for the Black Bears. So that's who they've signed so far. I can tell you right now there will be a signing announced either Thursday or Friday. So by the end of this week, there will be a third signing. It's a big signing. I think it's a very important signing. Somebody who you definitely want to return if you want to repeat and do what you've done. I believe this guy is going to definitely bring what the Black Bears need. He was very vital in them winning the Cup. And that's all the information I'm going to give you. Now, I will tell you right now, our guest, Austin Thompson, we'll talk to him in just a little bit here on the Power Play Post Show. There's going to be an announcement about him and his future in his career coming up next week. So there's going to be some pretty big announcements that will affect the roster of the Binghamton Black Bears. I'll leave it at that. But I know that by the end of this week, and there will probably be a few announcements next week for the Black Bears, and probably over the next couple weeks after that. You are going to get information. You're going to get news. You're going to find out what this roster is going to start to look like. According to Gary Ryan, and hopefully it's okay for me to say this, I think it is, I think the Black Bears are going to be allowed to have 35 men on the roster up until the start of the season, so they can bring in as many people up to 35 as they want. I know the newer teams are going to be able to go up to 45 because they got to build a roster basically from scratch other than the expansion draft people that they bring in. So we'll see how that works out. I don't think Brant needs to bring in 35 guys. I think he could probably bring in as many of the returnees as he wants and then say up to 30 guys. So he could have another 5 or 6 or 7 guys on the roster, maybe 8 guys on the roster for training camp, and then see if there's just somebody that sticks. I do think that there's going to be a couple more goaltenders that are going to come in, because it's always good to check out goaltenders and to see who you got. We haven't heard anything about Nolan Egbert yet. Sam Levecki, I know he's signed his PTO or agreement with the Hudson Valley Venom. We'll see what happens there. I could just say there's conversations behind the scenes that I can't really talk about when it comes to Sam Levecki, but who knows? So let's go into. I kind of hyped this up a little bit, and this might not be. I might have hyped this up way too much, but so let's go into my way too early predictions for the Binghamton Black Bears. Now, I could have held this for the season 14 debut, but there's going to be a lot of other things I want to talk about in that episode in a couple weeks. So let's do this right now, right? As we're ending season 13, thinking about season 14, thinking about the fourth season of the Binghamton Black Bears, let's go into my way too early predictions for the Black Bears. These predictions would have been very different, and I'm telling you, different, if Brant Sherwood was not the head coach of the team. But the biggest and probably the most important signing this offseason for Andreas Johansson is really bringing in Brant Sherwood. Whatever money he threw at him to keep him here, whatever things that were promised to Brant, it was the smart thing to do. Give him what he wants. I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. And listen, I don't know the dollars and the figures. I don't care. Brant Sherwood is going to be, right now he's 34 years old. He might be 35. I can't remember when his birthday is. I'll have to look it up and everything. But 34, right? In 6 years, he could be coaching in the NHL, right? It could happen. Few years here, few years in the ECHL, or a couple years in the ECHL, maybe then go to the AHL. He's got the ability to coach at higher levels. And Andreas did whatever he could to keep him here. And I think if there's another successful season here in Binghamton, like I think there's going to be, Brant's going to have even more options thrown his way than what was thrown his way at the earlier part of this season. I think Brant is going to, if the team succeeds like he hopes they do, that Andreas does, he could be gone next year, but on a good route. I mean, the FPHL is going to eventually someday have a player play in this league and play in the NHL. I believe it. I truly do think it's going to happen. I think the SPHL is going to fold at some point, and I think the FPHL is going to plug into the premier single-A hockey league. The ECHL is going to have to take notice and say, okay, there are guys here that we could probably pick. We could have probably pulled up Gus Ford and had him play in the ECHL. Maybe he likes being a big fish in a small pond, but maybe he can get 20 games or 30 games, So it's just a matter of relationships happening between the ECHL and the FPHL. That's not there yet. Now, Steve Martinson, who coaches the Athens Rock Lobsters, he has many connections. He has networks that go beyond what most people have in the FPHL. He is a great selection. Now, the owners of the Athens Rock Lobsters also own 2 of the ECHL teams. So there is a connection there. There's a relationship that's built in there. That's what the Fed needs more of. That's what Brant needs to do. Brant needs to build relationships and connections with the ECHL, not only so players can be called up and whatnot, but also at the same time, so it works on, it's an advantage for him, okay, as well in his career. Okay, so yes, the players are going to have to execute during the season, but in the offseason, this is where teams are constructed. And every year, teams are constructed in the Fed. There's no holdovers. People have to re-sign. Contracts are just one-year contracts. It's just the way it is. So teams are constructed and put together. That's the role of the GM and the head coach, and in this case, Brant Sherwood. So again, my predictions are going to be based on the fact that Brant Sherwood came back first. We just talked about some of the roster and some of the guys that are coming back. And I think a good majority of the guys are going to come back because Brant Sherwood came back. I think Jesse Anderson, he's back because of Brant Sherwood. I think Tyson was going to be here either way. I really do believe that, just from what he said. But I think Dakota Bond, I think Connor McAnanima, I think these guys came back because Brant's here. They really did. And the relationship that they have probably with the city is good, and that's icing on the cake. But truly, these guys are coming back because they want to win, because they know they have the best chance of winning this upcoming season in whatever league or whatever team they play, because Brant Sherwood is there. All right, so let me get off the soapbox of praising Brant so much, right? But it's true. I really do believe that my predictions are based on that Brant's back. My predictions are based on the fact that the players that are coming back are here because Brant's here. So when we look at his past, his record, his recruiting, and how good he is with the X's and O's, this helps with my confidence of what I'm going to say. Last season, the Black Bears ended the regular season 39-10-7 with 120 points. I'm going to try to predict this correctly. I don't think there's going to be much of a change in the record. I think they're going to go 40-9-7. And right around the 119, 120, 121 for points mark. That's almost virtually the same. Statistically, I'm basically saying it's the same. I just want the 40th win because I think it will look prettier on the stat sheet. But I'm saying that I believe that he can do the same. Regardless of the new teams coming in, the schedule kind of favors us doing a little bit better. Okay? We're going to have 6 games against the Dashville's Hockey Club, who every team in their first season doesn't usually do that well. Binghamton was a rarity winning in their first season. Most teams don't do that in the Fed because it's difficult to build an organization. But Andreas and Rod Davidson did a good job bringing in guys that were established and that could play and understood how to play in the Fed. Well, Brant hasn't lost, just because he went on vacation and bought a house and might get married, all this, none of that's going to matter. He's still going to be the same guy that understands X's and O's. I think he probably took a 2-week vacation this year and he still thought about hockey. Prove me wrong, Brant. Tell me you weren't thinking about hockey while you were over in Europe. I don't buy it. I know you were. So I don't think much is going to change there. So 49-7. I think one less regulation loss. There's going to be another win in the win category, and probably still 7 shootout losses and or overtime losses. Okay, first in the Empire Division or the North Division, whatever they decide to call it. Connor McAnanima, I believe, will have 20 wins. That's one more than he did last year. Tyson Kirkby will have the points and the goals lead for the team. Last year, he had 39. I feel like he hits 40. And the other prediction I'm going to make here, and so everything is consistent here. Everything is basically the same. Statistically, what I'm saying is they're going to have the same season, okay? So if you enjoyed last season, you're going to enjoy this upcoming season. That's basically what I'm predicting. But I'm also predicting that the fans more fans are going to show up. It will be the first time in Binghamton hockey history we go to a finals and the average attendance goes up. I do think that's a good possibility of happening, and I think they're going to hit 4,000 fans on average in the old barn, which they haven't done since the early days of the Senators. Okay? So that's huge. Okay? So what I'm saying doesn't happen that often unless you're a team in Florida and you're named the Everblades and you win 3 championships in a row. This, what I'm telling you, doesn't usually happen. And in Binghamton hockey history, the average attendance usually goes down when you're after being in the finals, right? It did in 82-83 with the Whalers. It did with the Sens when they went to the finals. I think it may not have in the early 70s, the mid-70s, when they went to the championship, the Dusters. But I had to look that up because that's one I have. It's very difficult with the Dusters because they frickin' would win all the. They didn't just win all the time. Fans just showed up. It was a different era of hockey in Binghamton, so it's hard to compare it. I feel like there are milestones that will drive this team and get that one more win or one more goal. 39 wins to 40 wins, 19 wins to 20 wins for Connor McAnanima, 39 goals to 40 goals for Tyson Kirkby. Why not one more? That could be the motto for this team. Why not one more goal, one more assist, one more win, one more championship? That's truly what I think is going to happen here. Okay, they're going to hit milestones that they didn't hit last year. Last year they had 39 wins. They missed 40 by one win, right? Connor had 19 wins, missed 20. 20 is just a sexier number, right? I mean, it just is, you know. And at 39.56 average for fans, 4,000 just looks not sexier. It really does. It just, I'm sorry. I could see that. Why not the motto be, why not one more goal, one more assist, one more win, one more championship? It bodes some confidence and it bodes, you know, the ability to believe in yourself. 19-player roster for this upcoming season with the final team, when the final team plays their first game. Up until then, the Black Bears can have 22 players. So when the season starts for the Black Bears, how I understand the rules that are coming up, the Black Bears will be able to have 22 players up until the point the last team having their first home or first game played. So I think Carolina is the last team to get the first game in. So up until Carolina plays that first game, 22. This doesn't really mean that much, but it'll give Brant probably a weekend to look at a couple players in, you know, game action instead of just in practice and stuff. But we'll see what happens here. This gives Brant some time, a couple games to see a few more players. At the moment, the 4-game PTOs are in for the season, for this upcoming season. And the season, for the first time, there will be a player point system, which teams can reach a max and all teams have to stay under it. So what does that mean? So basically what that means is if a player played in the SPHL or the ECHL, and based on games played in the ECHL and SPHL and FBHL will determine how many points they are assessed, and each team cannot go over 50 points. Don Oliveri would be at the player max of 10, even though if you count his up according to the numbers that I saw, and I don't know, he'd have 13, but they're going to max out the players at 10. And a player like Blake Tosto, who hasn't played that much, will just be at 1 point. So this is a very interesting thing. It's just something you're going to hear about coming up. And matter of fact, watch this Saturday's Fed League Flash with Gary Ryan for more information on the new point system for players. I don't like it, but basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that the unfair advantage that apparently the Thunderbirds and the River Dragons and the Black Bears have because they recruit well, because they have good barns, they have good organizations behind them. Apparently, that's an unfair advantage against newer teams that are coming in. And maybe at some point the Federal Prospects Hockey League will get to a point where this doesn't have to be a thing. Stop changing rules in the middle of the season. Stop making up stupid, silly things about point systems for players. stuff like that. Just stop it. Stop it. It's hockey. We just want to watch hockey. We don't care if you say you have to have 6 rookies on the team. Fine, that's fine. But stop playing with all these other stupid garbage things. It's the reason why people don't take the Fed seriously sometimes. You know, I know none of the important people except for Andreas actually listen to what I'm saying. And I know that I sometimes get a little dramatic with things. That's fine. That's just who I am. You wouldn't be listening to me if I didn't. But that's pretty much it, folks. Thank you very much for listening to Season 13 of the Power Play Post Show. It just means so much to me that you guys have. I really do appreciate it. I'm very excited for you to hear this midsummer interview with Austin Thompson. We'll talk to him, about vacations, about what he does in the summertime, and about, of course, how he's getting ready and training for the upcoming Federal Prospects Hockey League season or whatever hockey season he decides to play. Hint, hint, might be, with 3 Bs. But that's besides the point. You'll find that out probably sometime next week. What is the future of Austin Thompson? And that's all I'm going to say on that. Thank you very much for listening. We're going to be right back here in just a couple minutes with Austin Thompson. And thank you very much for listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers.
Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Here on the final episode of Season 13 of the Power Play Post Show. Before we start Season 14 in just a couple weeks, we have one of my favorite guys from the Binghamton Black Bears here back on the show. He is Austin Thompson. Austin, welcome back to the show. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I'm glad I got to catch you at the end of your vacation, and you told me the depression's sitting in because you're back from St. Pete, Florida, but thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on, Bobby. I enjoyed getting on the show.
Let's talk a little about the end of the season for you guys. Obviously, a magical way to end any season, which is with a championship, doing it on home ice. Have you sat back and thought about how that season ended for you guys? Because it was pretty magical.
Yeah, it definitely took a while for it all to sink in because, like you said, at the end of the day, what we strive to win is a championship, and then obviously winning it how we won, sweeping the whole series, all 3 rounds, and then the OT winners. And, taking it at home, too, is just incredible. Well, it's one thing to win, but it's another thing to win at home and then to sweep at home in the finals.
Did you think that going into that series against Carolina, knowing how they played against you in the regular season, that series would go that way? They still played you guys tough, and those weren't easy wins, but you guys still swept.
Yeah, obviously the past 2 years going to Carolina, we were 0-4. I never won a game there, and I think 3 of the 4 games that I have played there, we got blown out of the water. So kind of going in, I figured, the best we could do is a 1-1 split the series there, and then take it back home and win it on the Saturday. But, the boys stepped up, and we got the job done there, and I knew as soon as we got 2 there that the third one's in the bag back home on Friday because we don't lose at home.
Yeah, you guys definitely don't lose at home. We recorded that many times here on the Power Play Post Show. I will definitely say that I predicted, and maybe it ticks off you guys or not, I don't know, but I predicted you guys would split down there. I figured it was going to be 1-1 coming back to Binghamton, and you guys, did your business and finished it off and got the 2 wins. I got to say, you guys probably had, even though it was a long break between Game 2 and Game 3, you guys probably had to feel very confident going into the Game 3.
Yeah, no, obviously don't feel bad about your prediction. It's analytics. Like I said, last 2 years we were in Carolina. We were 0-4 and kind of got blown away there. So wishful thinking was getting the series split, but obviously we got down and did our job. And coming back home up 2-0, obviously guys are riding the high, but we had to stay level-headed because, again, we've seen reverse sweeps before, and that's the last thing you want, especially at home. So we kind of just took that whole week to focus for that one game, and we're just going to send it all Friday night, and then we're just going to win, and that'll be it. So work hard now and enjoy the party after.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that we talked about on the show multiple times was playing against, like guys like Trevor Babin and Mario Cavalier, and Brant Sherwood really had a vision on how to kind of get into those goaltenders' heads, because it's kind of what you do when there are people talking about these goaltenders and saying they're these great guys and great players and stuff like that. Did you feel like the plan that Brant had for you guys going into the Motor Series and the Carolina Series paid off with the way you were able to get at both of those goaltenders?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's playoff hockey. You want to get in front of the net and piss off their goalie, especially if they're star player. Obviously, if they're off their game, it's going to be easier to score. And every whistle, we're stopping in front of them, maybe saying a thing or two, maybe not. Can't confirm nor deny. And then just taking their eyes away. And then all of a sudden, one goes in, two goes in, and they start sweating, they start stressing out, and you just keep popping more in the net, and they have a full mental breakdown. Now,
Tomer, you're in front of the goalies a lot, especially this past season. I think Brant kind of changed up how you played on the ice, and you planted yourself in front of those goalies. Are the goalies saying anything to you when you're in front of them?
Sometimes the goalies do, sometimes the D-man does. I mean, it's friendly, it's not friendly. It all depends on how the game's going and what they're doing in front of the net. And usually when the goalie starts talking, I know I'm in their head, and they're out of the game.
Now, does it make you laugh when they start talking to you? Do you chuckle, or what's going through your brain when they start chirping back, so to speak?
I just laugh at them, especially if I scored that game already or not, or if they let a weak one in. I kind of just laugh and let them know that probably should have had one or two of those goals.
What was the on-ice celebration like for you guys? I've been around you guys for a very long time. I know you guys are very a close-knit bunch and everything. What was it like to celebrate afterwards? And even go into when media goes home and the fans are all out of the building, the celebration when it's just the boys. What was that like?
Honestly, when that final buzzer went, I didn't know how to react. I was like, this can't be real. Like, we got another game tomorrow. It's Friday night, and all of a sudden you're done playing hockey. It was definitely weird, but no, obviously when media goes away and the boys are just in the room, it's more like a holy crap, we just did that, and you just think about all the bumps and bruises you got along the way and all the hard work you put in, and it actually paid off for you. So you just feel like a rush of relief just coming over, and it's like we did it. We hit the goal. We did what we were supposed to do.
And how long did the party go?
We shut down a few spots, that's for sure.
What's been the off season been like for you? What has been kind of your main goal in this off season?
This off season was a reflection. I wasn't sure what I was planning on doing next year. I'm still obviously talking with Shurzy about next year and kind of thinking about what's going on, and then kind of just recovering from injuries from the playoffs. It's a grind, and you obviously get bumps and bruises along the way you don't take care of right away, but sometimes the off season is the perfect time to kind of heal up and then get right back at it in the swing of things here in the next couple of weeks and kind of put the foot to the gas.
So what's the off-season training going to be like for you when you started up here in a couple weeks? What is your plan? How are you going to get ready for whatever comes forth for you, in the next couple months?
I got a trainer that I use in junior hockey that I'm working with, so I'm going back to him actually starting Monday. And then it's a couple guys in the NHL and AHL also train and skate with them, like TJ Brody from the Leafs and Seth Griffiths from the Condors.
Oh, by the way, Seth Griffin was a former guest here on the Power Play Post Show. So when you,
really?
Yes, absolutely, I had him on here when he was with the Providence Bruins. So if you do see him, say hello. Tell him that Bob Howard from the Power Play Post Show says hello. Hopefully he remembers the interview. It was a good interview. He's a
He
great.
better. I'll give him flack for it. I'll let him know. I see him Monday probably.
He's a great guy and everything, and tell him I said hello and everything. But that's pretty awesome. Now that's something that people probably don't realize, Austin. This doesn't happen just with you. I know that guys like Nolan Egbert, other guys from the Fed do train with the NHL and sometimes the AHL guys.
Yeah, especially like our age groups as we get older. You trained with kids growing up that maybe went to the OHL or some sort of NCAA hockey, and they're moving up their pro ranks and still playing. So it's kind of nice to see how other people are training and what they do. And obviously skating with NHL and AHL caliber players pushes you to be better. And I feel it helps me usually at the start of the season because I'm used to a level that's maybe not quite where the Fed starts off with in October, which is my benefit. But no, it's great. You joke around with them and have a good time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, of course, we've already seen Jesse Anderson has signed to come back. Connor McAnanima has signed to come back. Tyson Kirkby has signed to come back. Does that give you incentive that when you do talk to Scherzi here in the future, that you're like, some of these guys are coming back, and that's going to make you want to come back?
Yeah, especially when Kirk was texting me about it too, and Anderson actually just talked to him about it today. He's asking what's going on. And, it's a good core there, and obviously them coming back makes it harder decision to not go back. And I know Scherzi's definitely going to love that on the next conversation we have about it. Mm-hmm. But no, like I said, it's just a good group of guys coming back, and obviously shows that they want to win again back in Binghamton. So,
and let me ask you a tough question, right? Because you haven't signed to come back yet, and obviously there's going to be a conversation with Scherzi. Scherzi's going to want to know, what are you doing to get better for next season? Because he's always looking to help you guys, but at the same time, there's expectations that Scherzi wants from you guys and everything. But what do you want from maybe the Black Bears or Scherzi to be able to come back? What does Austin Thompson want? If that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. Definitely a hard question.
It is.
Obviously, like you talked earlier, end of the day, you do it for the love of the game, and you may not get compensated the most financially, but
sure.
I know the Black Bears and Scherzi are always looking to help guys out with that, so it definitely helps, especially being a Canadian. I can't really work while I'm in Binghamton, and the only work I can do is remote, so anything financially definitely helps support the cause to go back to Binghamton, and I know Scherzi and the whole organization will definitely help me out and back me up when it comes to that time. Yeah,
no, absolutely. One of the things that I know you and I talked about in the middle of the season was that you were really looking for a call-up. And I know you probably had conversations with Scherzi for the call-up. You really want to test your bones, even if it's just 2 or 3 games on a weekend up in either the SP or the ECHL. Is that something that if it's – I don't know if it can be promised. I mean, that's such a stupid thing. But if that was something that is a possibility, but you could still play in Binghamton, would that kind of encourage you as well? I'm just looking for the mindset of Austin Thompson right now.
No, of course. Yeah, no, obviously, speaking with Scherzi, he'd known since day one he came in that the goal was to get a call-up, but obviously maybe the hockey gods are something different in mine because I didn't get a call-up, and now I'm a champion in the Fed, so I'm not complaining about that. Yeah. We got some hardware. But no, I mean, obviously the whole job of the FPHL should be to move guys up. I know Scherzi's interest is always to move guys up, and that's Andrea's goal because as long as you move guys up, more guys are going to want to come in, and it kind of creates that hotbed of a team, and you're always going to be good because you always want to have guys that strive to be better and get their call-ups in.
Okay, so let's put the recruiting hat on you, right? If a couple guys retire, which is a possibility, and I know of a couple guys that are probably looking to potentially not come back, and you had a few guys get picked up and move on to other teams through the expansion draft. We know Josh Fletcher's coming back, but put the recruiting hat on for just a moment. You've been in this league for a couple years now. You've worked with Scherzi. What do you think Scherzi is looking for a new player to come in to maybe fill a couple of those roles that have left? Put your recruiting hat on. What is Scherzi looking for?
He's looking for guys that aren't comfy. Our favorite line all last year were no comfy cats.
Really?
So as long as you're coming into the team to either move up or win and work hard to do that, you're going to have a shot at making the team, and you're going to have a shot at excelling on this team. But if you're just kind of here and lounging around, kind of kicking the can, waiting for the clock to tick down, then you're not a fit for the organization. I know he's got big shoes to fill with some of the guys that are possibly on their way out or from retirement or call-ups, but I think obviously winning the championship is an easy way to get more guys to come into the organization and kind of weed down the guys that are right for the team.
Austin, for your mental health, how important was it to go on vacation these last 2 weeks, be down with family and some friends, obviously down in Florida? How important has that been to your mental health? Because sometimes you got to get away from the game, too, for a while, right?
No, of course. I mean, obviously we all love the sport, but there's some days where you just kind of want a mental break or check out for a little bit. And with our season, it's kind of hard to do because it's every weekend, but definitely taking time over the summer to hang out, relax with the family and friends, and kind of having that reset and maybe missing the game a little bit so when you get back to it, you're full go and ready to, do what you got to do to get better and prove to the team that you belong and win another championship for our case.
No, absolutely. Now, how many mangoes did you eat while you were down there?
This year the tree sadly didn't produce a lot, but it was at least 6 or 7.
That's not bad. That's still not bad. For one guy having 6 mangoes and everything. For fans who don't know,
he's
obviously
a big fruit guy.
Yeah.
So he crushes them with me, so I have to compete against them to see who gets the mango fixin'.
Yeah, absolutely. So, which is great. What's other than training over the next couple months? Do you have anything planned, fun that you still got planned before potentially hockey season starts back up for you?
Yeah, actually, I have next weekend. I go back to Grand Rapids to play in a charity tournament for autism.
Oh, nice.
One of my old teammates' parents kind of found this thing. It's called Pucks for Autism. They kind of go all over the states. They go to Chicago and whatnot. And kind of my old teammates from Davenport all make a team and just kind of hang out for that weekend. And obviously we're all hockey players and some retired, but it's nice to kind of see some of the old guys put their skates back on, even though they got collected dust for the last few years. And obviously it's another time just kind of rekindle and reflect on school and what everyone's doing in the future.
No, without a doubt. I did see a picture from a couple weeks ago where Tyson Kirkby and Connor McAnanima were coaching at the elite camp that is hosted in the New England area and whatnot.
Yep.
I think that's something that a lot of people don't know happens a lot in the summertime where kids can learn from pros like this, and AHL guys do it, NHL guys do it. Pretty much anybody that's a pro, a lot of them, if they have the right connections, they do that. How important do you think that is for youth hockey, especially here in America, that those type of camps happen?
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, back at the end of the day, you give back to the kids because at one point you were a kid looking up to grown-ups or older fellas playing hockey, being pros, and kind of dreaming about getting paid to play a sport that you love. So I've been a big fan of kind of giving back and doing camps and whatnot. And I'm glad Kirk's and CMAC are doing that because I know last year CMAC loved it. And
yeah,
talking to Kirk, it's early mornings, late nights, but he's loving it too. And at the end of the day, it's all giving back to the sport that gave us so much.
Yeah, and it really has given. I mean, even for me, as somebody who has been, a lover of the sport since I was like 3 or 4 years old. And then, of course, just, not being good enough to play like you guys play and everything, but being able to talk about it and talk to you guys about it. Sometimes that's the best part for me is being able to tell the stories and tell your guys' stories and whatnot. And it really is something where hockey gave me a lot when I was a kid. It's the competition, the playing, getting on the ice, being active. There were so many things that I could talk about that it gave to me, and being able to kind of give back and get people excited about it. I've had people just say, listen, I got to know a guy because of your show that I didn't know I was going to learn that kind of information from. So it's been a pretty
it's crazy.
It's a pretty cool thing. Liam Anderson was he came up to me, he was like, I listened to every single episode because I learned something about my teammates I didn't know, and I can bring it up in conversation. And I'm like, dude, I love that. To me, that was just one of the best things that happened this whole last year was Liam LA coming up to me, and you know how great LA is. He's a great kid and everything.
Guy.
I wish him so much luck.
Absolutely.
I wish him so much luck in Germany. I think he's gonna enjoy the experience and everything. And I think he's the kind of guy that just wants to experience things, which is pretty cool.
Exactly. That's what the sport does. You get to go over to see the world while playing hockey. And again, back to your recruiting comment with the cap on, we're looking for guys like that are all for the team, not about themselves, wanting to learn about each other, hanging out with each other, kind of making that family bond. And I think that having that this year definitely helped us bring home that championship when when we were down a goal or down a couple or whatever it was. We kind of just rallied together and kind of trusted and leaned on each other to get the job done.
Austin, before I let you go, I got one more question about the team in last year. Most of the players and the fans from opposing teams really dislike Tyson Kirkby. And I think it's because he's so driven and works so hard for his teammates and to winning games. I mean, we could talk about clutch goal after clutch goal that he had. What do you think it is about him that they don't like? Is it a jealousy thing, or what do you think it is that people just don't like Tyson, though one of the nicest guys, hard worker, does anything for the team, and he's just amazing that way?
I think it's his smile. That missing tooth really pisses people off and kind of irritates them. I know living with him, it got to me a couple times. No, I'm kidding. No, it's just that compete level. I mean, obviously, he's there to win. We're all there to win. And he just kind of, a couple times, got the job done, called his own number, and got it done in front of Schurzy. And obviously, Schurzy ate that up and loved it. And kind of just having guys feed off that energy and kind of, obviously with him chirping the fans back, definitely doesn't help his case for being a fan favorite in the opposing room or challenging guys on the ice in front of their home team and maybe burying a star player that the fans love too doesn't help. But, I mean, end of the day, he's competing. It's a job. He's trying to win, and it's infectious.
The look on Trevor Babin's face when Trevor Babin got kicked out of that game, and I think everybody, maybe even Tyson, was like, "He's really getting kicked out, like completely, like he's gone." It's like I think he was surprised too about it and everything. But that's the part of the element that he brings to the game that other people don't like. But when he's on your team, you love it.
You definitely love it when it's on your team, and on the other team, you hate it. I can agree with that statement. It's true. I mean, I see it. I would hate myself playing against him and having to deal with that. I mean, sometimes in practice he pisses me off and maybe give him an extra shot, and he knows why. But no, like I said, it's just infectious, and everyone wants to win. So, and he's trying to do it, and it just everyone builds off it and feeds off it.
All right, 56 points the first season, 56 points the second season for 112 points. You basically flip-flopped your goals and your sits between the 2 years, which was insane. You and I talked that you were upset with not having as many goals as you wanted, like halfway through the season and everything. Are you still happy with the ending, even though maybe your goal production wasn't where you wanted it to be?
I mean, it's hard to say I'm not happy after winning a championship.
Sure.
So it's definitely another question.
Take the championship out of the equation, right? Let's just get through to the end of the regular season. Were you not happy or happy with the fact that you still 56 points, same as the year before, or did you feel that you could have done more?
I definitely feel I could have done more. I mean, like we talked earlier in the season, there's a lot of games where I've had a lot of chances to cash in my opportunities, and they just weren't falling. And obviously, as a point producer, pretty much the whole junior and college career, it definitely gets to you and starts to irritate you because you don't know what you're doing wrong, and you're trying to fix it, and then you start gripping the stick a little too tight, and then you start missing more. And obviously, I want to push myself and improve, and kind of seeing the 56 and 56 back-to-back years to me doesn't show like improvement, but. I mean, I definitely took more of a role for the team, so
you're too hard.
That's okay with me, and
you're too hard on yourself. You're too hard on yourself.
No, yeah, I'm my number one critic. That's why.
Schurzy and I talked.
Schurzy will say it too.
Yeah, Schurzy and I talked about it. And actually, when we talked about you privately and even a little bit on air, he put you in a different position in year 2 versus year 1, and your goal and the fact that your point production stayed I mean, it was still 1 point per game, right? I mean, the first year was 1.1 point per game, right? Because you played 49 games compared to 55 games, right? Still 56 points. The point is, though, he puts you in a different, more tougher position, and you still produced 56 points. To me, you're being hard on yourself, brother. I love you, man, but too hard on yourself. I think you did great, and I think you will improve in year 3.
No, I appreciate it. Obviously, if I'm not hard on myself, then it goes back to that comfiness, and no one wants to be comfy. And obviously, when Jersey gave me that new role for the team, I took it with open arms and kind of wanted to prove to him that I can do whatever he does, whatever he wants me to do on the ice. I can get a job done for him, whether it's PK, power play, 5-on-6, 6-on-5.
Well,
it doesn't really matter. It's center, left wing, right wing. Just put me on the ice, and I'll get something done for you.
Absolutely. Tomer, thank you very much. Have a great rest of the summer. I look forward to seeing you at camp if that happens. We'll have to see what happens and everything. I'm sure if you want to and Brant wants it, it's going to happen. But either way, I'll stop talking now because I'll just get myself in trouble with the team and everything.
No, you won't get in trouble.
But good luck. Have a great rest of the summer. We'll talk to you obviously in the fall and everything. And from a lot of the fans who have engaged with you and myself, thank you very much. You are one of the most pleasant, down-to-earth people that we've gotten to meet here in Binghamton this past season. A lot of great guys on the team and everything, and you're right up at the top of those. So we appreciate it, and thank you so much for everything you've done here on the Power Play Post Show as well.
No, I appreciate it. And obviously, the second phone call for the Power Play Post Show is definitely nice to get. And, if we end up going back to camp, happy to see you again and get back on the podcast for you.
Absolutely. All right. He is Austin Thompson from the Binghamton, well, he's from the Binghamton Black Bears. We're just going to say it anyways. And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Want to thank again Austin Thompson for coming on the show. Midsummer, it's great. I do know that there's going to be a couple guys that I'm going to do an interview with in August that are former guests of the show that were on last year. We'll have them on again in August during the debut of the Power Play Post Show Season 14. Now, in 2 weeks, when we do the Power Play Post Show debut of Season 14, the first guest we're going to announce it right now. It's Blake Tosto. I've already talked to him. He's excited to come on, and I'm excited to get to talk to him. And we're probably going to do the 6 more questions from Season 13 with him, but then we are going to come up with some new questions for the regular season portion of the Season 14 of the Power Play Post Show. Not to make that complicated at all, but we'll get Blake to answer the other questions that we had from last year, because I think that would be great to hear his thoughts on those. I'm sure he's listened to a few of the podcasts and everything. Great kid. Can't wait to talk to him, honestly. He had a whirlwind kind of coming out of school, and just the way he came into everything. It'll be really fun to talk to him. So, again, this is the last episode for Season 13. I'm clicking it over. I'm going to Season 14 in a couple weeks. We'll have that. We'll have a couple guests, including Blake Tosto, on. Any news and information, I think there's going to be some more signings that we'll be able to get to talk about. We'll see the roster continue to form, and we'll get more information about how the league is going to run itself going into the new season. All right, so let's get into it. The Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, YouTube, Amazon Music and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast and subscribe. And we are going to do something special with YouTube in this upcoming season. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just join, go to Facebook and search for Power Play Post Show. And please share with any of your friends or family that would like the Power Play Post Show. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Patitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears, Austin Thompson. Remember, Season 14 begins August 8th, 2024, with Blake Tosto and another guest to be named a little bit later. Thank you so much for listening to the Power Play Post Show in Season 13. I am, again, your host, Bob Howard, and I look forward to bringing to you a ton of content for Season 14, which we will start in just a couple weeks. Thank you for listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.